Good evening, guys and girls. F4H Rosso here with another GT Sport video. Today we are doing some Manufacturer's Cup. So basically, for the eagle-eyed of you that have already noticed, we're on a completely different account. This is a fresh account so that we can drive in the North American time zone. Reason being, I thought it'd be cool, number one, to see how we stack up against the North American, well, North and South American competition, but also the Manufacturer's Cup time slots on the North American region, there's the word I'm looking for, just align better with my availability. So I've wanted to do some Manufacturers and Nations Cup for a long time, so I think I'll probably do those videos on this account. Today, you can see, we have not qualified. This is a fight to the front video, so we're going to skip all the theatrics at the start. There we are, 20th position with our new account, definitely not F4H Rosso. So 20th position in the Porsche 911 GT3 RSR. Basically, we're going to see how far forward we can get. This is a good race. I know I say that a decent amount, but this is definitely one worth sticking around for and watching. A lot happens, and it kind of epitomises a couple of different things, this. Number one, just how dirty the racing can be when you're on a fresh account, and just how difficult it can be to get your sportsmanship rating up. But also number two, the importance of never ever giving up. So we've already made a position because the Brazilian guy behind us just decided to pirouette off the track, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. So we kind of got caught up in the accident that happened in front of us, and rather than actually recognising that there was a corner coming, I decided just to forget to brake. So we've already done one loop, we've pirouetted, so we've got a lot of work to do. Luckily we've not lost a position, still 19th. I'm not sure what happened to the Brazilian behind us, I think he got disconnected. So we are still dead last at this point. 19 positions to make, potentially. And it's going to get dicey. You guys know that already, I'm sure. It's 18 cars on track with no one with a sportsmanship rating above A, so it's going to be an interesting race as we sling one up the inside of the Lamborghini and just sliding in front of him just before the left-hand curve. Just sweep him right. We can see 17th in our sight. It's a nice gaggle of cars still. What we don't want to happen is we don't want the field to get strung out. We don't want to lose touch with the guys ahead, and as you can see, that big red timer on the left hand side, it's already a 15-second gap to first, so we've got 15 seconds really in the first lap to where we want to be. So we said we didn't want the field to string out, but we also equally don't want it to absolutely gaggle up like this. Cars pinballing off walls in front of us, and we're going to just get shunted in the back, absolutely pumped off into the wall, and to add insult to injury, a 5-second penalty to deal with too, which is completely unfair. We didn't really do anything to warrant that, so we're going to have to work that off. And the standard of some of the racing in this lobby is we basically have absolutely nowhere we can go there. The standard of racing in this lobby is not great when you're stuck in the pack, as you will see. This chap in the F-Type just deciding he wants to Schumacher on Barrichello was and end our lives into that left-hand side wall there, even though there's probably about 40 acres of track to his right that he could have quite easily used. We're going to run into this chap again shortly, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. Probably we'll give Van Gold the early title, because a lot happens in this video. The early title of being the dirtiest GT Sport driver we've ever come across, and he's going to stay true to form again in a second. But we've just got to remain patient. Again, keeping an eye on that gap as he just tries basically to run us out of track on this right hand side. Just about got enough room. We're going to try a quick switchback move on him, which isn't going to work. But yeah, you can see the gap already has opened up to 21 seconds, and remember, we've still got that 5-second penalty, which is kind of semi-run down on that lap, but not really. So we've got that to deal with as well. Just going to try and poke our nose up his inside, which is going to work just fine until he smashes us into that inside curb and basically pretty much spins us around again. So we're going to serve our penalty. We're already losing time anyway, so why not? But look, basically, third lap, and we've made pretty much no progress. Back down to 18th, and now a massive 26-second gap all the way up to first. So as I said, it gets pretty dicey in this race, pretty dirty, which is pretty unfortunate. I'm obviously on my other account at SS, and I've been at S Sportsmanship rating for a good while, when the penalty system was a bit more lax, so it was quite a lot easier to raise your sportsmanship level. And I do feel quite sorry for the people that are stuck at this level, because there are some incredibly dirty drivers in these lobbies, as we've seen already, as I try my best there to add a second loop to our collection for this race, which is already stands at one too many. I'm going to have a quick look up the inside of the Huracan into the final corner. The Huracan that we have already passed this race, so very familiar with the bright green Lamborghini. I'm going to see if we can maybe stick our nose up the inside into turn one, but think better of it. We've got a Porsche in the outside wall there, which is going to add another interesting dynamic to trying to make this move work. We've got a car glued to our front bumper and a car glued to our rear bumper, and then our mate in the F-Type going off the track. So again, going to get very interesting here. We're going to have to bleed out the throttle as the Lamborghini smacks up the back of the F-Type. So in turn, we give him a smack. Lucky to get away without a penalty on that one. Bit of overspeed going into the, what I'm going to christen it, the Big Dipper. I don't know what else to call it. It's just a crazy mental corner. And here we are, deja vu. Back glued to the rear of our mate in the F-Type, and I'm sure he's going to make our life very simple for us. Made another position up just back there as the Subaru. Thought he'd try and out pirouette us. We've managed to sling one straight up the inside of the F-Type. Not really in any particular mood to mess around with him, to be fair. He's already shown what he's capable of on track, so don't really feel like giving him too many concessions in the way I'm going to drive with him. We've got another F-Type, and it looks like it's F-Type drivers that have just got some sort of frontal lobotomy, because he swept across the track there basically to block me. I had to make a really quick left-hand move just to make sure that we didn't end up in the wall again. I'm going to try a quick switch back, and again he's just going to shut the door on us. So we're going to be quite robust. At this point, I'm kind of not in the mood to play the games of the midfield, shall we say. I've had quite enough of being smacked around, and hoping that the front of the pack is a little bit more clean and fair. We'll see. We'll see how it progresses. We've got the, I think, Nissan in front of us in 11th, and that gap's still 26 seconds, so even though we've had a lot of trials and tribulations through traffic, we're not actually losing time to first anymore, which is good. The Nissan makes a little bit of a mistake in front of us. We're right up to his rear bumper at this point, looking for a move. Going to try a switch back, I think, into the last corner. So we set it up round the outside and then back through the inside as he makes a bit of a mistake, and that's another move done. So we're going to rejoin the race on lap 9. Not really much has happened. We've passed a couple of cars, set the fastest lap of the race in the process, but basically we're closing in on pit stop time. So at the start of the race decided that we were going to run basically fuel map 1 pretty much flat out throughout the race, stop halfway through, which would work pretty much perfectly for this car's fuel tank. We've actually managed to stretch it out a little bit, so we're going to pit at the end of lap 9 rather than the end of lap 8. We used fuel mode 2 for a little bit at the start after we had a bit of a disaster at the beginning, but we're up to 8th, and as you can see, the gap to first has come right down. We are now just 12 seconds behind, so we've made some really good progress in those last 2 laps. Done a couple of really decent laps. I think while the others have been fighting up at the front, we've managed to make a huge amount of progress, which is going to going to set us up for a grandstand finish, I think. So 7th has gone a bit wide, so again that gives us a little bit less work to do out of the pits, and hopefully we're going to not do our usual trick of not actually refueling in the pits. It's really easy when you come into the pits, the way the menus are set out. Sometimes here I'll come in, I'll double tap X, and I'll basically switch my tyres and just go straight out the pits, which is unfortunate, but we've managed to hold the trigger on the X button this time, and we're going to fuel up for 8 laps. I'm always a bit paranoid, so I always go an extra half, just in case. And there we are, back out, and we have retained our 8th position. Gap to first is now just 10 seconds, so realistically, with 8 laps to go, we could still win this race. We are in a decent position, definitely. We have the pace, as you can see. We've got the fastest lap of the race. It just very much depends on how we manage to navigate the traffic, how the traffic falls for us, and you know, if we can make moves stick and people are kind of compliant in you know, wanting to actually have a decent race rather than play dodgems. And what's going to help is you can see that gaggle of cars just disappear around that left-hand bend just in front of us. So, you know, if we can get rid of those in a decent order, a decent amount of time, because they're all bunched up, it could release us into a nice little pocket of space you can see on the map, where we can really hunt down those first couple of cars. So you can see we've got 7th right in front of us, but 6th, 5th, I think 4th is there too. So definitely some positions to be made, and we've closed right onto the back of this group now. You can see we've got the pole sitter. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that one. But he was the chap that was on pole in this race, so he's had a bit of a stinker. He's down to 7th, and he's having a bit of argy-bargy with the Brazilian Bruno in his F-Type in front of us. He's just launched his way over that curb. But yeah, a bit of argy-bargy, which hopefully doesn't set the tone for the battle to come. We've got a really good slipstream here. Not really sure which way to go. The F-Type's going to block us regardless. So we'll get in the toe of the BMW and see what we can do around the outside at the dipper. We're going to hang it right around the outside, which has worked pretty well for us. The BMW makes a mistake in front, which is going to make this a very interesting three-way. The F-Type kind of shuts the door on us. The BMW's there all of a sudden. The BMW's just basically going to sideswipe the F-Type completely out of the game. He's done. And then there were two, which is unfortunate, I guess, for the F-Type, not really for us. But it's made me a bit wary of the guy in this BMW. I'm just going to try and psych him out into the last corner, which didn't really work. We've got a good run out of it, so we're going to see what we can do into turn 1. And again, we're just going to get squoze up to the point where we can barely have any road to really work with. Made a position fortunately there, as 5th has done a double spin. He actually recovered and then spun again, unfortunately. But yeah, not liking the BMW's racecraft so far. So we'll see what we can do. Again, we may have to get the elbows out with this guy because he's not being particularly fair. It's the second time we've been almost barrichelloed into a wall. If you don't know what I mean by that, have a look on YouTube. Schumacher on Barrichello at Hungary. It's as close as you get to a wall without being absolutely murderalised. But we're hunting down this BMW in front of us. Relentless. We've not really made any ground on first. It's still a 9-second gap, which is, I guess, a bit of good and bad. At least we're not losing time. But again, the BMW slows through this last sector, and he's made a bit of a mistake, so we're going to take the opportunistic move up into the final right-hander, which I think was nice and fair. Down into 3rd gear through the final corner, and we've got a podium in our sights now. That's 4th, 3rd and 2nd in front of us. First not too far ahead of those either. The gap down to 5 seconds, so basically we've had a change of the lead. We break at our 100-metre mark, and the BMW just decides he's going to shovel us out of the way. I'm not going to lie, at this point I was pretty pissed. I was not particularly impressed with the race and just how many times we've been, for want of a better word, fucked out of the way by other cars. It was getting pretty frustrating at that point. If I was wearing a helmet, there'd be steam on the inside of the visor. But again, as I said at the start of the video, you've got to maintain a cool head in these races. They're long races. There's still 5 laps left of this race. So we've got a lot of time to work with. The gap is still 9 seconds, so even though we got punted, we're still in touching distance. We know we've got the pace. We know we've got the consistency. And even though we've got to pass that head case and the BMW in front of us, we can still make something happen from this race. So we've just got to remain calm. Make sure that we do everything we can do in our power to make sure we have a good race. And see where we go from there. I mean, if he wants to turn his car into a missile, there's not really a great deal we can do about it. There's no point getting frustrated by it, chucking the towel in, trying to retaliate, anything like that. And Karma is at work there into turn 1 as the BMW finds himself parked in the same barrier that he tried shoving me into, which is yeah, it was satisfying. A little smile on the face, a little smirk as we went around that corner. Can't say I was too unhappy about seeing him in there. It was quite ironic actually, because in the race at the start, you know, the little race chat that you get before the actual start of the race, he was the most vocal in there, saying, "Oh, clean race please guys, if you come up to me, you know, try and pass me cleanly, yada yada yada." Well, you know what, mate, how does that wall taste? We gave the tentative title to, I can't remember who it was, Mr. Red F-Type at the start of the race, but Exactiljudge, whatever that word puke is definitely the worst driver I've encountered on GT Sport, so congratulations, trophy is in the post. But yes, enough about that guy attempting to murder us. We are right in touching distance with this pack, a 5-second gap to first, so again made really good progress that lap with the fastest lap to boot, right on the back of this pack of 3 cars. And by this point I've kind of already figured out that stuff like that's going to happen. It's not been the cleanest race, it's not been a race of top quality racecraft, close controlled racing, people on the limit. It's been people on the limit, you know, the drink driving limit, rather than the limit of their ability. Well, kind of the limit of their ability as well, to be fair, if we're being brutally honest. But we've got a good opportunity, still 5 seconds behind the leader, and we can see him just disappearing around that left-hander in front of us, that sweeper disappearing off into the horizon. I don't know what I'm saying. But we've got another 3 cars to pass before we can dream about potentially taking this race win, and we are running out of laps pretty quickly. We've got the skyline in front of us, which looks about 4 buses wide, and again he's just made a little mistake which has kind of balked our progress, so we've got to see what we can do. And fortunately he's kind of shoveled that Aston out of the way for us, so that's a position gained without much effort. We've really got to figure out a way past this skyline though, because he's held us up quite badly, and we're going to sink one down the inside into turn 1, which has put us in a very good position for turn 2. He's going to fight very hard, you know, by this lobby standards. That was relatively clean, but we've managed to kind of scrape our way through. We're just about there, and we can set our sights on first and second position in the sister car, the same vehicle as us, so it's all about driver skill, no difference in machinery. We've got basically a lap and a half to work some sort of magic. So round the Big Dipper, the right-hander, and Alan really struggling with grip, the tyre wear really affecting his exit. So we've managed to make a decent amount of time through there. Bit of back marker action in front of us, but since the new update they ghost when they're a lap down, so that's not really going to come into play, although it has distracted him enough for us to sink one through the inside. And now we have a clear view of first position. Butters, 2.4 seconds we need to make in one lap, so maximum focus. And for some reason, I don't know why, because it's really inconsequential, but I was actually quite nervous on this lap. It had been a very long, arduous race, and I'd kind of at one point when we were facing backwards given up hope of potentially winning this one, but we are right behind him, the closest we have been all race, and we are taking 10th after 10th after 10th out of him, just gradually eking forwards towards him. Gap just now dipping under that magical 1 second barrier as we head downhill at 165 miles an hour before we brake hard for the right-handed dipper. And again, nice and close, the gap just coming down, eking down, 8 tenths, 7 tenths, we are making progress, but are we going to run out of time? It's tantalisingly close at this point. 4 tenths the gap now as we approach the final two right-handers. We're just going to get a bit greedy on the power, which is going to kind of ruin our line through this right-hander, and he's got a better run than us. And unfortunately, that looks like it's a game over. Nice line through the final corner, and we are on the power. And we're going to tuck into his toe. We kind of need the line to be about 10 metres further down the road, and he just pipped us to the line by a tenth. So a really nice recovery drive. We've made 18 positions from our starting grid slot, and spun twice, and been punted into a wall, and served a 5-second penalty, and we've lost the race by a tenth of a second. So kind of gutting, but also at the same time a really I'd say fun race. It was a fun race. I mean, it was difficult, and obviously it could have been cleaner, but you know what, it was a war of attrition. And as I said at the start and in the middle of the video, a prime example of why you can never ever throw in the towel, because you just don't know what's going to happen in these crazy races, especially at this sportsmanship level. But hopefully you enjoyed that video, guys, as much as I enjoyed racing it. It was extremely fun, and nice to do some Manufacturers Cup, even if it was you know, driver rating E. I will try and rank this account up as quickly as possible, just so we can get involved with some of the best guys that the Americas have to offer. It'd be nice to race some of the you know, the well-known guys like Z28 and Eric GTR and etc awards, so that'll be fun. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video, guys, and if you did, feel free to give me a quick thumbs up, or if you're new, just click that red button, subscribe to be notified of when we go live or when we post a new video. Have a fantastic evening, guys, and I will see you all soon.